So, greetings, friends, and welcome to my reborn podcast. It's now named the American Superbike Show. If you notice a little something in the acronym of the name, I want you to rest assured it's absolutely intentional. I have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy. So, what is this new show going to be about? I can pretty much answer that question with one word, and that is Moto America. Whether it's on the racetrack, and silly season, or what's going on in the TV broadcast with their fantastic Live Plus app, I intend to produce what will probably end up being a rather short show, as it's just me speaking to the ether. But I want to do so on like a semi-weekly-ish basis. The issue is because I do have a full-time job, a 20-something-year-old daughter that's getting married next month, a house full of other teenagers, plus my beautiful wife, and she's just about as big of a fan of Middle America as I am. So, I definitely want to spend time with her. We've been going to Daytona every year for the last 3 years. We've been doing it ever since we met, and we've really enjoyed it every year. I'd be lying if I said that I was going to, make this show like a real high priority or be able to put like a professional level of effort into it. But I am going to step it up, a little bit going into next year. I'm going to try and put a better product out there in the interwebs for people to enjoy. Moto America has entertained me so much as a fan of the last few years, 11 years since they've, rescued this more-bound, flatline, dead series. And I have fallen in love with it again, and I want to share that love with you. Hopefully, you already love it too. If not, I want to welcome everyone in. Let's just watch some bikes go fast together. Um, I have already deleted all the episodes that I made before this, and they were produced under a variety of names that changed over a short period of time. But I will still carry over two of the episode formats once I get into the next season. One of those is called the Deciding Lap. I'll be recording those episodes usually on Wednesday morning before the race weekend. It'll just be a simple preview of the upcoming weekend with a rundown of the classes that will be participating, predictions, and just whatever news and notes I may have stumbled upon leading up to the race. The other in-season episode is called The Podium, and that will be just a review of the race weekend that just ended. While it will focus mainly on the podium finishers for every class, it won't necessarily be limited to only those that finish on the podium. I mean, after all, like when you look at races 2 and 3 in Superbike on Sunday at New Jersey, there's no way in hell I can talk about those races without mentioning Bobby Fong. So those are two of the episode formats I intend to carry over. And I'm going to try and do those for every round until probably the heat death of the universe. To get us started, to get us to the start of next season, I'm going to try producing an episode every other week, and that's going to go class by class with a review and also a look ahead. A review of the 2025 season and a look ahead to 2026. As there were 8 classes that participated in Moto America weekends last year, that's going to take up a good chunk of the time going to Daytona. There will only be 7 next year, but we'll deal with Stock 1000. We'll at least do a review of the short season that they had. Interspersed in between those, I'm going to produce at least one episode that's going to be focused on the 2026 calendar, and and then at least one episode, maybe more if I can, about the silly season and who's going where and whatnot. I'm not an insider, definitely not yet at least, but I will share what information I do have and what I've heard, and I'll clearly distinguish like what I hear as rumor and what's confirmed via press release. Before I go, I am going to share a little bit about myself. I did go to my first Daytona 200 in 2002, where I saw the Kentucky kid dominate. I had been an American Superbike fan already, but my parents were not really fans of motorcycles, so they didn't really kind of encourage that. I grew up less than a couple hours away from Daytona, and so that's one of the reasons why I went to that race, and why I still continue to go today. It's a little small town in Florida called High Springs. I don't remember if I had already signed up for the Air Force by the time I went to that first race or not, but I remember I had to wait a long time to leave for basic training, and with the wave of volunteers from September 11th. So I was definitely long gone by the time the race returned for 2003. Another thing I did as a young man before I left for the military, and it's one of the big reasons that drives this desire that I have to create this show today, is I used to cover high school football here in the state of Florida for a small local newspaper, and I loved it. It was so much fun. I really respect journalists, and I'm going to be honest and upfront about this one thing. My dad was the editor of this said small town newspaper, and that's absolutely how he got the job. But I was very apprehensive over it at first because I never really saw myself as a writer. But I think I did a pretty dang good job. There was a problem with becoming a journalist, however, and that is I got my high school girlfriend pregnant. So college was pretty much out the window, let alone a journalism degree that my Southern Catholic newspaper editor father used to refer to as a vow of poverty. September had 11th happened less than 6 months after my daughter was born, and less than a month after I got married. So I joined the military. I did. But there was a lot of other people like me. My father-in-law was retired from the Army already, and he told me that if I was going to join, I needed to go to the Air Force, and so that's what I did. I served in the Air Force for 9 years before coming back home to live in Gainesville. I spent a majority of my career as a 2W271, a nuclear weapons craftsman, before reclassifying into a 1-in-1 Alpha, a geospatial intelligence analyst. But after being medically retired in 2011, I just kind of farted around for a little bit before I started driving a semi-truck. I worked a lot of long days and nights to put myself in a position to where I could semi-retire, and I absolutely mean that pun. I'm very proud of that pun. As I stated at the beginning of the show, I do have a full-time job, but now I work from home as a transportation analyst. But, driving a truck is where I fell in love with podcasts. The first two I started listening to were the Marshall Pruitt podcast, which is a great show about automobile racing if you're interested, and the Shutdown Fullcast, because I am a college football junkie and just not a fully functioning individual. Um, so if somehow this show ends up somewhere in between those two, then I'll probably would have been I'll be successful, I think, in bringing my vision to life. So that's a primer for what's in store for the American Superbike Show. You can connect with me on Blue Sky at Stitch-Turner, on email at superbikeshow@gmail.com. I'm not editing any of this. I welcome your comments or even whatever questions you may have there. And until next time.